and welcome to the shop. I'm Jared and this is the Questionable Garage, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, buckle up. This is going to be a doozy of an episode for two reasons. One, Editor Dwayne is on a much-deserved vacation, and I didn't send him footage or ask him to download any footage, which he has done in the past. He's off enjoying Alaska with my mother-in-law. They're having a good time, and that means I'm editing this. You've probably already noticed, because I don't even know if I have access to the intro screen, so we maybe just had MS Paint. I don't even know yet. We're going to find that out. And number two, why we're calling this a bit of a doozy of an episode. Well, that is because I was walking out to a car one morning in my driveway and realized all three of them at the house are kind of broken. Not like catastrophically off the road broken, but they're starting to develop major problems that are going to be cheaper if I fix them now. So we're fixing three cars today. Yeah, one of them was from the last episode. We're going to get Roadblock and his fuel pump problem working correctly. I'm going to get the wife's Lexus IS200T back in the shop and fix a couple things that have been, causing a problem. I realized 7 months. Sorry, wife. I probably should have fixed it sooner. But we're going to get that Lexus tip-top ready to go again. And we're going to fix the puppy hauler. Now that's going to be the first vehicle. It's a 2004 Cadillac Escalade ESV, one that Tyler Hoover absolutely loves. Got it from a viewer, very cheap, fixed a wire, runs great and amazing, lowered it so that our two Great Pyrenees can jump in and out of it comfortably, but it is starting to grind very badly from the rear. So we need to get it in, take a look at the brakes, and see what we got going on. So no more waiting. Let's get to work. Yeah, brake pads are shot in the rear and have destroyed the rotors. Fronts are good. Rears look good initially. I should have looked a little closer on the inside. So we're doing brakes today. We're taking advantage of the O'Reilly Auto Parts special. They're running a deal right now. If you buy two rotors, you get a free set of brake pads. So I figured I need brakes. Let's take advantage of it. Not very exciting, but we're going to have some fun doing that. We're going to see what not paying proper attention does. It costs you a little bit, but that's okay. Yes, a lift would be wonderful for this. I don't have my parts here. I've given up buying control arms. We're going to make those in a future episode. So let's get the rear end jacked up so we can do some brakes. That's some metal dust. Everything's so warm. I just hope I didn't wait too long. Once I get this apart, we'll talk about the dangers of just running metal to metal. What you can really do. And accidentally screw up and cost yourself a lot of money. Also, I'm realizing I probably should have waited just a little bit. Let this thing cool off. Because it is a little toasty. See, look, it looks like there's plenty. Ow. Ow. But not so much there. That'll ruin your day and your brake rotor. getting close. I'm thinking I might take a short time out and let this cool off, because we're not directly under any time limits. That's what we're gonna do. It's just a little uncomfortable to work on. Well, all right, the brakes are cool, so I can actually touch them with my hands, and we're gonna go over a couple things. Number one, you guys might know this, but if your brakes are grinding, don't go too long, because you may end up buying brake calipers too. Let me explain that to you. So here's the back of our brake rotor, properly ruined, and that pad. There is no material left. So two things can happen when you start grinding metal to metal like this. Your caliper bracket, this can eventually get too thin, and once that happens, it can actually shoot out of the brake caliper bracket. And then what happens? Well, your caliper pistons are now what are grinding right there. Now, the other thing that can happen to those, you can overextend them. There is a finite length of that piston in the caliper. If you run it down too far, you can actually push past the seal, it can bend sideways, and you can absolutely ruin a brake caliper. So I heard it grinding, and I just kind of kept on going for a little bit, and now we got to pay the cost. So quick trick on retracting these. There's also a big discussion. Always open your brake bleeder. Don't push old brake fluid back. And by the book, that's the right way. Open the bleeder, compress the piston so the old fluid doesn't go back. If your fluid is really good and clean, there's not a lot of rust and weird contaminants, you can just push it back. That's up to you. The right way is to go ahead, open the bleeder, collapse your pistons, close the bleeder, bleed it out, put new fluid in. So you do what you want to do. All right, so I never like to directly push on the pistons. There's fancy tools for this. You can use C-clamps. There's lots of things you can do. I have pretty good luck, generally speaking, with just some, adjustable pliers. You need to go as much in the center on a dual piston caliper as possible. You want them to go in together and squeeze gentle. This isn't a race. You don't need to slam them in. You're pushing past bypass seals and things like that. So this is one of those slow and steady. I accidentally went in two slots on the pliers. Lost all my leverage. Also watch your brake line. You don't want to twist or pinch it or do anything weird. Come on. Easy. Now, one thing I'm going to do so we don't overflow is I'm going to put this corner together, and then we're going to pump the brakes and bring the pads back out. That's going to keep us from pushing 2 calipers worth of brake fluid back in the master, which could actually be too much and cause it to overflow. I'm on. Alright, I'm going to pick you up in a second when I've got this compressed and our new pads and parts clean. All right, well, we are on the right side. I time-lapsed you to get here because there wasn't a lot of room for me to kind of fit and talk on the left rear as there would be on the right rear. So we have got our rotors cleaned up. One thing I really do like about these pads, if you notice, it tells you if it's an inboard pad, left side, outboard pad on the right side, and that is for our brake squealers there. These pads have squealers inside and out. And yeah, most of us can probably figure it out without a little marker. But I am 100% for anything that is going to make working on your car more accessible to anyone. Putting brakes on is not that difficult. You guys with a couple tools and a little bit of patience can do it. Now, one thing I am worried, I pumped up that left rear and it doesn't turn very free. And if we look at our right rear pad, there's a lot more to that. So you may ask yourself, what does that mean? It means most likely something on the left rear caliper is sticking a bit. It was a little tight to go back in. The slides aren't sticky or anything there. It's likely a hydraulic thing. Either the caliper or something in one of the lines is holding hydraulic pressure. So I got to get together to drive it to figure out. We'll see if it's dragging some. Sometimes new brakes are just a bit tight, but the fact left and rear have worn so far apart from each other, I feel like we're going to be back in here before long. But we're able to make it drivable and safe enough right now so we can get on to the other two cars we got to get fixed in this episode as well. So, yeah, we'll go for a drive here in a second, see how that does, and go get parts for car number 2. Well, we swung by to go ahead and grab our parts, and if you guys can smell the color, you guys can see that's dragging a little bit. So let's go put a brake caliper on too. Yeah, we're gonna let that cool off just a little bit. What is kind of interesting is you can kind of see how the inner structure of the rotor is built in there. But yeah, we're gonna let that air cool. For comparison, let's go to this other side. But you can actually kind of tell how much cooler. Yeah, what do we see? 290 is the peak. Yeah. So we're gonna let that cool off and get our new caliper put on it. Also got a new rubber hose. So a little trick getting to these rear shock mounts. Now, this is really something you should do if it's your car. If it's something you're doing for a customer, you can crease the carpets back here a little bit. It's not likely, but you can. Normally, you got to pull the whole thing. It's not that hard to do, but at the same time, you pull that section back, one clip here, one clip here. Gives you all the room you need. All right, you may be asking, Jared, how did you know it needed shocks before you even had it in the air to order them? Well, one, the wife complained about it kind of having a soggy back end. It didn't feel good in the corners, kind of bounced, made some knocking sounds. And I looked at it a while ago and I've just been putting it off. So I finally decided I probably should, fix the wife's daily driver. She is the one driving it, not me. So she deserves the less questionable vehicle. Easiest way to tell if a shock is bad. We look up in here. This shock, just a black tube. Maybe a slight bit of moisture there. Nothing alarming at all. You can see this thing is just covered in oil, and our really bad knocking sound was coming from the right rear. Ideally, we would use the 2-post for this. The suspension would already be hanging. Not an option today. So we got to hang her up, get some jack stands so we can get the wheels off, and hopefully knock this out without too much difficulty. And then we got one other little thing to do on the car. It's definitely why there's no footage of me putting this thing up here. Hello, friends. I have returned. Oh, wait. Is that part of the arm? Nope. Your bolt is covered in shock oil. Your suspension might be wore out. Holy moly, Jesus. I'm thinking dropping the tow arm. That's just gonna make life easier. There's no reason not to. Doing it out here at the bowl, gonna have minimal to no effect on its alignment. And it'll just make life that much easier. I hindsight, I think that's just a bushing and no hammering required. Let's see. Let's do what I need. So my problem is the other one. I was on the other side of this one. So it pulled straighter down. There we go. There we go. Watch your brake sensor. Boom. All right, so you may be asking, how do you know a shock's bad? A simple check is the push test. You see how kind of easy and bouncy that is? And then it gets hard. It should not spring around that much at the top. And that's why on bumpy roads, it knocked a whole lot compared to this one. Nice and smooth and linear. That's how it should be. Also, we're not gonna change out these mounts. The car's low mileage and they're in good condition. So there's no point in changing those out. So we'll knock those off and I'll start putting it back in. All right, I've got that side lined up nice and easy. This one's fighting me. So I gotta like reach around. Can't quite see, we're doing it blind. Oh, there we go. Now we're just starting the bolts. We're not fully locking them down. So it's a little easier to do what we need to down below. Then we can put the trunk together. Do the last bit of maintenance we gotta do. Now, I got 2 bolts on. We're not gonna risk that falling through. You know, it's supposed to be a fun lifting shop, but you guys are just riding up with the lift. Alright, I want the KYB sticker out, which it is. Now we can start trying to force everything back where it belongs. We'll put that bolt in as we come up. We'll get this side prepped the same way. Need to turn a fan on. Look. Actually, out of contacts, that can come across pretty bad. Guys, I'm not trying to turn any of you on. Apologies. Someone got excited about that. You know you wanna. There we go. Improve your ride quality in these easy steps. Sweat a lot. Make funny grunting sounds. Make at least 4 questionable lifting decisions. And then, victory. Don't do it. Alright, we're going to put it back on all 4. I'm going to change the oil. We've already done that once on camera, so I'm just going to do that and pick you up in the trunk. Always remember, clear your maintenance lights. Some of them require you to do funny dances with the trip meter. This is easy. You just go into your settings and reset maintenance there. Again, sometimes it's trip A, key off, key back on while holding reset. Good news is you have the internet, and a lot of people post information out there. Also, I'm sweaty, it's hot, and I'm kind of enjoying a modern car. Cooled seats, cold air conditioning. What are these luxuries? Well, running down the road, it is nice and quiet. Now, if I was smart, I would have done the before. Just imagine from the right rear, you just heard a thump, thump, thump anytime you hit the smallest bump or anything in the road. It was quite obnoxious, especially considering everything else about the Lexus is quite nice and quiet and comfortable. 2 down, 1 more car to fix. All right, guys, we are chasing the final bits of Roadblock's fuel problem. After I sent all that footage to Editor Dwayne, I kind of just was up most of the night trying to work through anything and everything that could possibly be wrong. Things pointed electrical. One big problem is, again, going back to the direct connect, we're very unique in the fuel system setup. And any of the, normal Hellcat to dual pump fuel pump modules that you could find, it's all plug and play. There's not any specific pin out. Now, when we're talking fuel pump modules, that's what these bad boys are. They get a signal coming from the front, tells them how many times to cycle on and off really quickly, and we have power that shoots back under there to the battery, and then it sends our power out and down to the fuel pumps. Now, this is a little bit tricky because, we're a Ute. This is where your back seat normally would be. We've got 1 extra panel removed for access, but in all of that digging, I did finally find one wiring, not diagram, but a picture of one of the plug-and-play harnesses with all of the module or the wrapping off of it. So the way these work is you have a pulse width signal, you have a confirmation signal back up front, you have the turned on signal, you have power in, ground out, and then 2 wires to the fuel pump. But I noticed there was one less wire on the second fuel pump module harness. I don't know why. So I got to digging, and if we unplug our primary here, one-handed, of course, nice and easy, these are our 2 signals from the ECU. This is the pulse however many times we want to, and that's the confirmation that it has pulsed all of that time. Now, this is also what the very first shop, not Palmer, but the first tuning shop, charged us a lot of money to confirm that all of this wiring was correct. So I just kind of didn't look at it. But again, I noticed our second module didn't have a confirmation wire. It talked to it, had this one, it's just white because of the fixed harness, but it did not have a confirmation wire. So what did I do? My tenses are all wrong. So what did I do? I depinned that second wire from the second fuel pump module. I put stock fuel maps back in it, the fuel pump maps, all of that goodness. And I'm sorry that we are all yellow all of a sudden, but you notice. But you'll notice, yes, that wire is gone. So we did that. We got it all put back together like that, fired it up, and it was perfect. Absolutely perfect. Idle pressure perfect. Drivability pressure perfect. Everything works. So, the solution, if you are doing one of these and wiring it, it was absolutely electrical, but it wasn't a PCM flash. That was more potentially we were leaning on it harder, so the problem manifested. I don't know why we never experienced it before the PCM flash, but it's been wired this way since I first put the car together. All back to normal. It's worked amazing, and hopefully the next scene is going to be it on the dyno. Well, here he is with that fuel pump wiring fixed and figured out. It is a little bit of a bummer when information is not readily available, so I'm sharing it with you. How to wire dual fuel pump modules. Don't connect the data line on the second or third module, and your fuel pressure is going to work perfectly. Turns out Tim, the guy who tunes, 3, 4, 5, 12 a day, was right. We shouldn't need to change those maps. But it did get us diagnosed. And I gotta say thank you to everyone who commented with ideas. If we get to crazy horsepower, if we go any further, a return style fuel system most likely will happen. A lot of you were asking about adding a regulator. The way this is designed is basically 1/2 inch garden hose of fuel to the front, and it regulates pressure by turning the pumps on and off. In a more older style traditional fuel system, you have fuel go up, goes to a regulator, or through your rails to a regulator and back to the tank. That's not how we're set up. Now, some people in that style will actually set up and put the regulator in the very back. That is not good to do. You want to have your regulator as close to the rail as possible, because when it is all the way in the back, you actually will get a lot of pressure oscillation at your injectors, which is bad. Also, this would be the point where we take Roadblock back to Barth, get it on the dyno, and make a bunch of power. Well, it took several weeks to get it in last time. Dyno Day is going to be like July. So, my friend is throwing a birthday party for himself and a couple other friends, a cheap car challenge. I can't go the whole time, but Roadblock was originally $3,000. We're just going to ignore all the sponsored parts and free parts and used parts. This is a $3,000 car. So, originally, I was just going to go for fun and did a terrible job of filming the whole day, but I did bring Roadblock out and we cut some laps at Lanier. And in my exuberance, burnt through my nittos in the back. So thank you to, I think it's HAR Racing. You'll see the picture here. Right across the street, next to Road Atlanta, they had some used tires. They got Porsche Cup 2s on the back. Honestly, the Michelins hook a little bit better at sheer horsepower, but I'm sure in the corners these Michelins would be a lot better. But we were able to run around and enjoy the rest of that day. Roadblock's running great. We've got the data log. I'll show you just real quick. Scan through the whole thing. We don't go into limp mode once. All right, so let me scroll this all the way. Oop, too far back. There we go. The only thing we need to watch, that limp VSP DC at 100%. We can whip through everything. Look at that. No limp modes through that whole log. No limp mode. That means it is fixed. So we're there. We're ready. And speaking of fixed, we got a whole lot done. We got the rear brakes. We got the brake caliper replaced that was dragging. One new caliper. That means with the Escalade, because we upgraded the front brakes, I have 3 new calipers. I probably should have put the right rear on, but it's working. We'll leave well enough alone. We got good shocks in the back of the Lexus now. That rides a whole lot better. And I did an oil change on it off camera. I don't think you guys needed to see that. And we got Roadblock taken apart. We got that fuel pump wiring fixed. And also just off camera, one thing I did go ahead and do is added some holes to the fuel pump basket to make sure it can fill with fuel all the time. I know the jet pump from the right side is working perfectly because we filled him up this morning and he took 15 gallons, which means there was only 3 gallons and change left. And the other thing I did is when I pulled the pump, left side was completely full to the overflow where it would balance out. Right side was almost empty. So that tells me our transfer pumps are where everything is doing what it's supposed to. Finally, and the highest horsepower Dodge Charger Ute, to my knowledge, the only manual transmission Dodge Charger Ute in the world. So again, thank you to all the commenters who jumped in there, tried to give some advice, introspective. It was a weird problem, and it ended up just being as simple as one too many wires, something another shop charged us a lot of money to double check. Not Palmer, not Barth. Those guys are amazing. We're not going to speak the name of the guys that charge us $2,200 for nothing. They broke some stuff and missed a wire. It happens when you're building crazy custom cars. You can't avoid it. It kind of stinks. Oh well, move on. It works now. So hopefully the editing's not too rough. I've had Premiere for a long time. I've never opened it or used it. So I've got to find audio tracks, audio mix. Well, comment below. How good or bad did I do? So I'm Jared, reminding you guys to always make questionable choices and don't put off maintenance that you could do today for tomorrow, because then you have to buy brake rotors. We'll see you next time.